Welcome to Imola for the San Marino Grand Prix 1995.
Well, you're right there, Murray. I tell you, Murray's voice just seems to make everything calm in the world, yes. And not just in motor racing terms, but in life in general, yes. After one of his legendary commentaries, I used to go away thinking, everything's okay now, everything's fine. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Hello everyone and welcome to part 3 of our Let's Play of the original F1 game for PlayStation, of course, Formula 1. And we are at the legendary Imola circuit, and we are of course in the 1995 season in the Williams, and we're playing as David Twat Coulthard. Yes, once again, this legendary Imola circuit. And as you can see, we're just taking the fuel out because we're going to qualify now. And as I've said in previous episodes, this qualifying actually sets you up for the race. So whatever time you put in now is going to put you in good stead for your race position. So we come out of the pits now and we rejoin as we go past the Foster's Australian lager signs. Good day, mate, good day. Put another shrimp on the barbie. Oh God, those were the days. Who remembers Australia when it was good? Do you remember Paul Hogan? Oh my goodness. Crocodile Dundee. That's not a knife. That's a knife. I used to love Crocodile Dundee. And then of course the sequel, Crocodile Dundee 2. One of those great imaginary titles that they just love to dream up in Hollywood. Yes, let's call it 2. We've had 1, so let's call it 2. And of course years later they made Crocodile Dundee 3. Oh shit. Oh dear, what went wrong there? What went wrong indeed? And that was the end of the franchise and there was no more. And Mr. Paul Hogan sort of disappeared from fame as well. Unfortunately, he got divorced from Linda Kowalski, didn't he? And lost most of his money. He did a few films in between that, of course, Lightning Jack, and there was a couple of others I can't even remember. Oh, Almost an Angel, who remembers that one? Almost an Angel, yes. But then after that, that was pretty much it for Paul Hogan. And pretty much it for Australia, to be fair. That was their only sort of claim to fame, wasn't it? Well, you got the cricket as well, but we don't talk about that, do we? Not as English people. Anyway, we crossed the line after the first lap as David Twat Coulthard, and we're in 26th position at the moment at the gorgeous Imola circuit. Now, of course, that was the first lap out of the pit, so that included our pit time as well. So hopefully we can do a little bit better now as we jump over the curbs at the Imola circuit. You have to be very, very careful of the curves. At the moment, Michael Schumacher's put in a fastest sector time of 28.911. Let's see what our times go. Oh, it's pretty good, pretty good. Oh, it's beaten it, hasn't it? Yes, 28.694. Wowzers, absolute wowzers. I think Mr. Coulthard has had 3 shredded wheat for his breakfast this morning. Yes, indeedy. So let's see as we go round the circuit now and we just revel in the glorious... Oh, look, there's a McDonald's sort of sign in the bottom there, just off the track. Did you see that? Did you see that? McDonald's. There's another one. Is that another McDonald's sign? Yes, it is. Oh, God. You know what? I just fancy a Big Mac and cheese right now. Yes, I just fancy a Big Mac and cheese, but now, unfortunately, I'm doing a commentary, so it's a little bit difficult to stuff that in your gob and talk at the same time. Although it has been said that I'm always up for a challenge. Anyway, we go underneath the bridge now and brake very, very hard for this left-hander. Oh, very, very hard indeed for Mr. Coulthard. Schumacher's pulling a time of 1:35.447. Let's see what time Mr. Coulthard's going to pull in. I don't think he's going to beat him because we're still coming around the final chicane and we're already into the 1:37s. But the time he's going to put us in... Oh, 11th position for Mr. Coulthard. 11th place. Fantastic. So we're going to stay with that 11th position, I think, as we come back into the pits now and we set up our strategy for the... Oh dear, Mr. Coulthard's clipped the wall as we come in. So we're going to set up our strategy now for the... Oh, wait a minute. What's gone wrong? Oh no, we found a glitch. Surely not a glitch in this game. There can't be. Yes, unfortunately, we haven't activated the pit sort of thing that brings us in, and we aren't going to come into the pits, unfortunately. Oh dear. This can't be a glitch in the fabulous Formula 1 game. I mean, there's hardly any bugs in this game whatsoever, is there? Well, no, actually, in truth, there's probably about 1 million bugs in this game. Yes, sadly, it is absolutely riddled with bugs, but it shouldn't dissuade you from actually buying this game and playing it, because it's still a fantastic game if, and this is only for the youngsters now, if you can get used to playing it using the D-pad to steer left and right. Yes, that's right everyone, I'm using the D-pad to steer left and right because there's no analog control for this game. Yes, no analog control, and trust me, it is bloody difficult, but it's also very rewarding as well, because you just gotta basically tap it to get it to turn left and to turn right, but there's no analog whatsoever. Anyway, once again, we're just going through the chicane, and we're going to attempt to get into the pits this time, and hopefully it will let us in. Of course, it didn't let us in because we banged into the barrier, and that caused the glitch where you can't actually come into the pits, which does happen quite a few times in this game, so you have to be careful at some of the circuits. I think, what's the other circuit? I think Argentina does the same thing as well. If you come in a little bit skew-whiff, as they say, into the pits, it won't actually bring you in, and you've got to go all the way around again. Anyway, this time we make sure we hit that line, and now we are going to come into the pits. So now we're going to put in our fuel for the race. We're going to leave the downforce, I think, which is at the medium setting, which is pretty good for Imola. But we're going to refuel the car right up to about the 3/4 mark. And don't forget, of course, the AI don't pit, so they're cheating little bastards. Yes, cheating little bastards, which is always a disadvantage. We have to pit because no matter how much fuel we put into the car, the fuel will possibly, if it's full right up to the brim, might actually make it to the race. But the thing that never makes it to the end of the race is the tyres. The tyres only last about 9 to 10 laps, and then you start spinning out. So anyway, it's time for the starting grid now for Imola. And in pole position we have Michael Schumacher. In second place it's Gerhard Berger. In third position it's Damon Hill. Fourth place it's John Alesi. In fifth position it's Mika Hakkinen. In sixth position it's Eddie Irvine in the Jordan Peugeot. In seventh place it's Johnny Herbert. Eighth position for Nigel Mansell. Ninth place for Rubens Barrichello. 10th position for Gianni Morbidelli. In 11th place it's David Coulthard. In 12th position it's Oliver's Penis. In 13th place it's Mika Salo. 14th for Heinz Harold Fredson. And in 15th position it's Ukio Katayama. In 16th position it's Aguri Suzuki. In 17th place it's Jos Verstappen. In 18th position it's Pierluigi Martini. In 19th place it's Take Inui. And in 20th place it's Luca Badoa. In 21st it's Carl Wendlinger. And in 22nd place it's Bertrand Gachot. In 23rd it's Domenico Scattarella. In 24th it's Andrea Montemini. In 25th it's Roberto Moreno. And in 26th it's Pedro Diniz. And so it's time for the 5 lights to go out on the gorgeous Imola circuit, and we say go, 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 and it's away he goes for David Coulthard from 11th place. It's a real spinny start, and always under pressure already from one of the Ligiers, but he manages to hold him off up into 10th position as we go into turn 1. As you can say, oh Jesus Christ, there's contact though with the car in front. That's one of the McLarens. That could be Mansell. It could be Nigel Mansell. Of course we don't know because there's no driver names in this game. We just have to wait and look at the bottom of the screen when it tells us, but it's very, very slow to update indeed. So at the moment we're still in 10th place, so we're going to make a move on Nigel Mansell, if it is Nigel Mansell in front of us, but he's battling hard with the cars in front, and both of those cars are Jordan's. Yes, Eddie Jordan's team are in front of the McLarens at the moment. Now, of course, this is the Imola circuit and the recreation of it from 1995. And of course, in 1994, we had those tragic accidents. One of them involving Ayrton Senna, which sadly caused his death. And also there was accidents involving Rubens Barrichello and Carl Wendlinger. Oh, it was just a nightmare race, all told. Now, nobody really knows what happened between that incident with Ayrton Senna. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories over the years, and I think just like MH370, that aircraft that came down almost 5 years ago now, we're never actually going to know the truth of what happened to Ayrton Senna. There's been lots of investigations and lots of people saying they know exactly what happened, but I don't think the real truth of that will ever come out. But sadly, Ayrton Senna died, and that's basically why we have David Coulthard in the Williams. Otherwise, Ayrton Senna would have been driving for Williams in the 1995 season. Now, of course, a lot of people say he was under real pressure in 1994 from the young upstart at the time. Oh, wait a minute, trying to go for a pass there. It is Nigel Mansell. It is the moustached one himself, Mr. Mansell, as you can see clearly from the bottom of the screen. David Coulthard's trying for a move to try and get past Mansell. There's contact. Oh, he's taken his wing off. He's taken Mansell's rear wing off, which means he's going to have to come into the pits. Michael Schumacher's currently in the lead of this race, nearly 6/7 ahead, and now into single figures, and he's up into 9th position. Anyway, as I was saying earlier, there was a lot of talk about Michael Schumacher pressuring Ayrton Senna in the early rounds of the championship, but of course that cannot be attributed to what actually happened at Imola. That was just, well, we have to call it a tragic accident, but whatever was actually the reason and why Ayrton Senna suddenly veered off to the right hand side of the circuit and crashed, I don't think we will ever know. Anyway, still 9th position at the moment for Coulthard, and now the two cars in front are both those Jordans. Just look at the liveries on those Jordans. Of course, the yellow livery was adopted by Eddie Jordan later on, and it went almost through the whole of the Jordan. No, it did actually go through the whole of the Jordan career, didn't it? In yellow, I do believe. Yeah, I can't remember any other colour that Eddie Jordan had after he changed from these team colours. Of course, there was lots of Irish sponsors back in 1995, hence lots of green in the colours. And of course, I think, wasn't they sponsored by 7-Up, of course, which is the colour green as well. So that was another reason why there was green on the car as we go straight into the back of one of those. I still don't know who it is. It doesn't tell me on the screen, of course. But it's one of the Jordans anyway. And there's a whole bunch of cars ahead of David Coulthard now. We've got 4 cars all in a bunch, and they're all jostling for positions, as you can see. We've got, that's actually a Benetton in front, and we go for a move now. We've got a McLaren off to the right-hand side. We've got a Benetton right in front of us, but there's just no space, no gap. Oh, there's contact with the back end of David Coulthard from that Jordan, and that was Rubens Barrichello in the Jordan, goes into the back of David Coulthard. He's going to get a little bit of wing damage, but he should be okay as he tries now for a move on this McLaren. This, of course, happens to be the other McLaren, not Nigel Mansell. He's trying to see if he can get past now. Can he get past? Yes, no, he can't, as we go through that chicane bit. So Schumacher in the lead, Gerhard Berger in 2nd position, of course, in the Ferrari. Damon Hill, our teammate, of course, in 3rd position, and a Lacey in 4th in the other Ferrari as he goes a little bit wide, and that allows the Jordan to go past. He was in 8th position, but he's now down to 9th again, so he's got that all to do now to get past that Jordan. And of course, in this game, the cars are very, very difficult to try and get past, especially if you've got the damage on. Of course, if you've got the damage off, it's pretty bloody easy because you can just barge your way through the field. So let's see if Mr. Coulthard can get... Oh, look at this Jordan. Look, he's all over the place once again. And there's contact with the McLaren. Jeez Louise, that was close. That means more damage for our car. But we managed to get past the McLaren now. So up into 8th position. We've still got 4 cars sort of in a bunch ahead of us. And the Jordan is still ahead. I think that is still Rubens Barrichello. Let's see if we can get past him now. As we sort of... And we got a Benetton in front of the Jordan. That could be Johnny Herbert. I think it could be Johnny Herbert because Michael Schumacher is, of course, in the lead of this race. And ahead of that, I can't see who that car is ahead of Johnny Herbert. But he's trying for a move, as you can see. He pulls out to the left-hand side. Then he pulls out to the right-hand side. That's very, very common in this game that the cars do pull out. Look at them. They pull out all over the place. They did actually fix this for F1 97, but I think they actually fixed it a little bit too well because the cars seem to... Oh no, David's off. David Coulthard's off, and now the McLaren's got past. He's back down to 9th position once again for David Twat Coulthard. It's just not his season, is it? It just really isn't. And it's Barrichello in front of him in 7th place, or at least it was. But now, of course, we've got the McLaren in front of us. Wowzers. Anyway, as I said, they did fix that for F1 97, but I think they fixed it a little bit too well because the cars used to just rigidly stay on the track and didn't seem to move. They looked like they were on a Scalextric set, to be honest, but there you go. You've got your options on which one was better, whether you had the cars moving all over the place in this game or whether you wanted them stuck rigidly to the track. I know which one I preferred, to be honest. Yes, I'm not a fan of the waving all over the track because that's not very realistic, is it? Anyway, we try once again, or should I say Mr. Coulthard tries once again to get past the McLaren in front. But once again, he's holding them off. I mean, just look at the graphics in this game. Oh, we got 11 laps remaining. Thank you. 11 laps remaining of the Grand Prix. Schumacher's in the lead. Berger's still in 2nd. Damon Hill in 3rd. John Alesi in 4th. Eddie Irvine. It's Eddie Irvine in that Jordan in 5th position, and Johnny Herbert is in the Benetton in 6th place, still trying to put the moves on Eddie Irvine in front of us, but we're still concentrating on trying to get past this bloody McLaren, and it is Mika Häkkinen, of course. Yes, Mika Häkkinen, who is currently the teammate to Nigel Mansell when we were at Imola. Of course, they changed seats quite a few times at McLaren because, of course, Nigel Mansell was too fat to get into the car. No, sorry, it's because he was doing IndyCar in 1994, and because he goes for a move now, yes, he gets past Mika Häkkinen up into 8th position now. No, because he was doing IndyCar in 1994, it requires a lot of shoulder strength, and he really bulked himself out, and he couldn't actually fit in the car. Yes, that's Nigel's excuse, and he's going to stick to it. Anyway, we've now got the Jordan, which we do go past, do we? Yes, up into 7th place. Of course, the Benetton in front of us is going to be Johnny Herbert, and there is our single solitary World Championship point in front of us, everyone. Yes, Johnny Herbert. Can we get past Johnny Herbert? Well, we'll have a look in a moment. Now, I'm just looking across to the runners and riders for the 95 season. I said there was a few driver changes at McLaren in 1995, and there was. The drivers were, of course, Mark Blundell, Nigel Mansell, you had Mika Häkkinen, and you had Jan Magnussen as well. Yes, Jan Magnussen did one round in 1995, and that was round 15 of the championship. Now, Mark Blundell did rounds 1 to 2 and 5 to 17, so he was in that car for a very, very long time indeed. Nigel Mansell was only in the car for round 3 and round 4. Yes, before he decided that the car was not competitive enough to challenge for a championship or to get him, you know, high up the grid. So he actually quit at that point and said, that was it, lads, no more Formula 1 racing for me. And he didn't, actually. But there is a true story that went round that he actually got an offer from Jordan to drive, I think, in the 96 season, and he was really stoked and wanted to go for it, but his agent thought that was a backwards move, and so in the end he decided not to do it. Anyway, he goes past now Johnny Herbert, so up now to 5th position. Our next target is one of the Ferraris, of course. That is going to be John Alesi. Yes, this Ferrari was a very, very heavy car in 1995. Of course, I think it had the V12 engine. Let's just have a look at my notes here. Let's have a look at Google and see if it tells me. Let's have a look. I'm trying to commentate on the race and look across at the same time. And there's our teammate, of course. Yes, Mr. Damon Hill. And we're trying to get past the Ferrari. I'll get back to my notes in a minute, because this is getting well exciting now. So Schumacher's still in the lead. Coulthard is now in 5th position. And we're going to look at our notes to see what engine was in the back of that Ferrari. And yes, it was a V12 3-litre engine. Oh my goodness. Ah, those were the days, weren't they? A V12 3-litre engine. But unfortunately for the Ferrari team, it was a very, very heavy car. Both the drivers, John Alesi and Gerhard Berger, spent a lot of the 95 season moaning about just how heavy that car really was. Anyway, let's see if Coulthard can get past John Alesi now, and there's contact with the back of John Alesi. Doesn't manage to get past, as you can see. Well, of course, still trying now. Of course, he's got more wing damage to the back, to the front, I should say, of that car, not the back. Yes, to the front of that car. This all mounts up. You don't actually see any visible damage, but if you get too much damage, the wing will fly off, and then you have to come into the pits because you developed quite a bit of understeer when you go into the corners if you've got no front wing. If you lose your rear wing, it makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. Yes, you will probably see that in later rounds of the championship. And that's it. As I say that, Coulthard has lost his front wing trying to get past John Alesi. So as you can see, Coulthard's waggling from side to side there because he's now got some understeer in the car with the loss of downforce from losing that front wing. But he's going to take a move now. Oh, he tries for a move now, and he's binned it. Oh, there's contact, and he goes round. Oh no, he's down to 9th place now. 9th place. He tried an audacious move there to try and get past the Ferrari. There was really no point though, because he's going to have to come into the pits. Well, he's going to make his pit stop anyway, because he has to pit once in this race. The AI cars don't have to pit, so they're a load of cheating buggers really. But yeah, so he's going to have to pit now and make his routine pit stop because the tyres wouldn't last till the end of the Grand Prix anyway. So he's down to 9th position now with no front wing. As I said earlier, the rear wing, if you lose that, it makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. You can do a whole race with no wing on your car. As I said, you will see that in later episodes. Yes, because I'm already about 4 episodes ahead recording on this series. Yes, Dave's very efficient. Anyway, let's see if we can get past the car in front, because of course with no front wing you don't have to worry about any more damage to the car, because that's all the damage you can incur in this game, which is the wings. Yes, you don't get any suspension damage, or the nose cone doesn't drop off or anything like that really. Anyway, we come into the pits now to make our solitary stop. Look, we go over to 6th place because of course we come into the pit stops before the rest of the cars have got around. So yes, we need a new front wing, we need a new rear wing, and we're putting some fuel in the car and changing our tyres as well. You can see we've got medium downforce on the car, which is just about right for the twisty turny bits of this Imola circuit. It's a very, very, very long pit stop though, once again. Oh, 19.3 seconds for David Coulthard. Now, where in the scope of modern Formula 1 would you have a pit stop lasting that long? Even with a wing change. They never last that long, do they? Anyway, so we rejoin now in 16th position. Michael Schumacher still in the lead. And it says 33 seconds there, but I can guarantee it's a lot more than that because it hasn't updated for the pit stop coming in. Anyway, straight away we pass one of the Ligiers, so up to 15th place, battling hard with the cars in front. Our next target is another, I think it's another blue car. It may be another Ligier. No, actually it's the Simtech car. Yes, the Simtech car, I do believe. We're just trying to pass now. Yes, the Red Bull Simtech. Red Bull Sauber Ford, I should say. Yes. There you go. I think I've got that right. I'm just looking across at my notes here to make sure, because I thought Simtech was one of the other cars. Let me have a look. Yes, it was. I did cock that up. The MTV Simtech Ford was one of the other cars, and that was driven by Domenico Scatolella and Jos Verstappen. Yes. Wowzers. These names are they're just going to go down in history as the best names for drivers. Unlike, you know, the ones we got today, which are just basically rubbish, aren't they? Rubbish names. Absolutely rubbish names. Anyway, 13th position at the moment for David Coulthard. I can't remember how many laps we are into this Grand Prix, but we must be over half distance by now. And there is one of the Nokias, which we can identify quite easily now. And one of the Ligiers as well we go past. Yes, the Ligier Gitanes Blondes. Yes, that's what that car was. And that was Ligier Mugen Honda, driven by Egeri Suzuki, Martin Brundle and Oliver's Penis. Yes, those were the 3 drivers who competed for Ligier in 1995. And Oliver's Penis actually did the whole of the 95 season in the Ligier. Martin Brundle did rounds 4 to 8, 10 to 14 and round 17 as well. And Egeri Suzuki did rounds 1 to 3, rounds 9 and rounds 15 to 16. And of course, if anyone remembers, in the off races when Martin Brundle wasn't in the car, he was actually helping out with some of the commentary as well for the BBC. Yes, the good old BBC. Anyway, those were the days. 11th place now for David Coulthard and trying to get past. Oh, he's got contact from the car behind though. He's trying to get past the other Nokia car, as you can see. Yes, and he gets past now. Yes, well done to Mr. Coulthard. That, of course, is the Nokia Tyrrell Yamaha, driven by Ukio Ketayama, Gabriele Tarquini and Mika Salo. Gabriele Tarquini only did 1 round, and that was round 14 in the championship. So up into 10th position now for David Coulthard. We're just about to start the next lap of the Grand Prix, and we go underneath the Foster's sign once more. As I was saying earlier, just look at the graphics in this game. I mean, this is very, very early PlayStation 1 technology. Yes, very, very early indeed. You can see all the polygon tearing and breaking up, and mostly it's the draw distance, which is very, very poor indeed. You can see the trees now popping up in the background. This is a very, very common effect because it had a very limited RAM in it, the original PlayStation 1. So I had to come up with some very clever ideas about how to get the backgrounds in drawn very, very quickly. And of course, one of the other ideas was to introduce fog. Yes, fog into it, and then that hid the actual background popping. If anyone remembers Colin McRae by Codemasters, the original Colin McRae, some of the stages on there, it literally looked like you were experiencing a hand grenade being exploded in reverse, the way the trees just seemed to pop out of nowhere. But as I say, it's classic technology, and we shouldn't laugh at it, because this is what we had in 1995, and I still say it's a lot better than F1 2018. Hasn't got a bloody halo for one thing. Bloody halo. God, I hate it. I really do. Anyway, let's see on this next lap now if we can get past some more cars, because we've got a huge bundle of cars in front of us as we go straight to the back of the 40-fold. Yes, it's time for us to salute the 40-fold. One of the slowest cars in the field, I think, ever. Yes, ever. But their tenacity and their willingness to go on has to be applauded, even though basically they were absolutely shite. Yes, absolutely shite. But, you know, they still wanted to continue, and so they did. They were, of course, the Parmalat 40 Ford, driven by a V8 3-litre Ford engine, as we just go up into 9th position now. And those drivers were Pedro Diniz and Roberto Moreno, and they did the whole of the season, both drivers in the 40 Ford. Well, just for doing a whole season in the 40 Ford, they have to be congratulated. Yes, indeed, they have to be congratulated, because if that was me, I'd probably after the first round went, nah, can't be bothered, mate, can't be bothered with this shit no more. Oh my god. There were rumours, in fact, in some of the races that the cars were up to 10 seconds a lap slower than the front running cars. Yes. Oh my god. That is pretty bad. Anyway, Coulthard's up into 9th position now at the moment, as you can see. Still chasing hard on the cars in front. Now, of course, with no pit stops, I don't think Coulthard's going to get any points in this race. Schumacher on lap 12 now. He's in the lead of this race still. Gerhard Berger in 2nd. Damon Hill in 3rd. John Alesi in 4th position. Barrichello in 5th. And Eddie Irvine in 6th place. Not sure how many more laps are left. I think there may be 5 or maybe 6. As we try now to get past this Benetton. As we get past, do we get past? Yes, we do. Of course, this is the Benetton Renault for 1995. They were Benetton, was it Ford for 1994, I do believe? Yes. But they went to Renault engines, the same as the Williams team for 1995. And they went on, of course, to win the championship, or Michael Schumacher did, in the Benetton in 1995, before he left in 96 to go to Ferrari. And that's where, of course, Damon Hill won it in 96. In, of course, the Williams, because he stayed with the team throughout those years until 1997, of course, when he was unceremoniously dumped by the Williams team. There's a lot of rumours about what actually happened there as well, but yes, basically he became world champion and then he was sacked. Yes. And then, of course, as anyone remembers, he went to the Arrows team for 1997. Oh my goodness. And it was a real baptism of fire. But of course, oh, he goes wide. No, Coulthard's off once again. He's lost more positions. He was in the points there for a moment, but now he's back down again. And yes, as I was saying, Damon Hill in his Arrows in 1997 almost did the impossible in Hungary when he almost won that bloody race. But unfortunately, he developed problems towards the end. And he was overtaken, I think it was Jacques Villeneuve, wasn't it? Jacques Villeneuve. But he still finished in 2nd place. I think it was 2nd place. Hopefully, anyway. He still finished somewhere, anyway, in that Arrows car at Hungary. It was a mighty, mighty achievement from the Tom Walkinshaw, of course, Arrows team. So, oh, we get past the McLaren, but we have to barge out of the way. But now Coulthard's up to 5th position. Well, that's just fantastic news. I didn't think Coulthard would end up with any points at all in this race, but it looks like he is going to get at least 2. Anyway, yes, Tom Walkinshaw and the Arrows team. Unfortunately, the Arrows team, just after Damon Hill left and went to Jordan in 1998, the Arrows team just seemed to go into a real decline, and of course their total decline, even though in 2000 they got that was it the Vodafone sponsorship, and everyone thought, well, hey, this is really a team going on fire here. But unfortunately the results just weren't there, and of course in 2002 that was the last year that Arrows competed in Formula 1, and for some of the races they didn't even bother to put any sort of effort in. They just sort of went out for one lap in quali and then said, yep, that's it, we're done. And of course I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, they didn't actually finish the season, did they? They only got to about round 11, and then they went, I think, into receivership, and then the dream for Arrows was all over, which is quite sad really for these small teams to disappear like that after doing so well. Of course it wasn't anything to do with Damon Hill leaving. I don't think it was anyway. I just think the cars just started to get worse, and then of course they didn't have a very good selection of drivers that they could pick from. Heinz Harold Frentzen eventually of course went to Arrows, if you remember. He was a former Williams driver, but he got sort of unceremoniously dumped as well by Williams. Williams do seem to have a reputation for getting rid of some of their top line drivers. They seem to do well, and then as soon as they start to decline, it's time for them to go. But sadly Williams now are not doing that well these days either, so there you go. Anyway, Schumacher still in the lead, Berger in second, Damon Hill in third, John Lacey in fourth, Coulthard in fifth, and Mansell now in sixth position. Yes, oh my god, I've got some waffle, haven't I? Ah, Jesus. Anyway, so in front of us we've got our teammate. We have, of course, Damon Hill. Can we get past Hill and nab a podium, a third place in this championship? Well, it may be possible. We've got a Ferrari in front of Damon Hill, and he's got I think it's a 40-40 in front of him. He's going to be a back marker. And oh, look at that. He parks it right in the apex of this contact. Oh, there's a complete clusterfuck. A complete clusterfuck behind. And we've lost both our wings, but I think is that the end of the race? No. Is it? I'm sure that was the end of the race. Yes, it is the end of the race. Oh, my goodness. We get fourth position. Fantastic. Wowzers. Well, that was a complete cluster there, wasn't it? Michael Schumacher won the race. Gerhard Berger in second place. So in the points now, David Coulthard is in sixth position with 7 points. Damon Hill's in the lead with 14 World Championship points. In the constructors, Williams are second. Benetton in the lead with 24 points. Well, there you go. There's round 3 of the championship at Imola. And I'd just like to say thanks so much for watching, everyone. You've been awesome as always, and thanks for listening to my complete and utter waffle for the last just over half an hour now. Oh my god, I think you should all go down and have a nice cup of tea and a slice of cake, yes. Or maybe you were having a nice cup of tea and a slice of cake while you were listening to my waffling. Either way, thanks so much for watching, everyone, and of course there will, as always, be more later.